What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the internet where your cesspool is my jacuzzi. My name is Lauren Knighty, and for those of you who don't know, I'm a psychiatric evaluator who's been following the Clayton Echard, Laura Owens paternity scandal case. As you guys can tell, I am not feeling too well, and I'm assuming that you know that based on how my voice sounds right now. Doing a little better than yesterday, though. So there's that. I'm going to have Bruce join me in a minute. So we're going to talk tonight about people who have been kind of collaterally damaged by this scam and why winning an appeal will not ultimately matter. Like why an appeal when in the court will not change things for Laura. Oh, there's Bruce. Hey, what's up?
Ladies and gentlemen.
You finish your leftovers?
Well, I mean, for tonight, I have more. I haven't even made my own round 2 stuffing and potatoes yet for the pie I'm gonna make.
Wait, round 2?
Yeah.
Dude, none of those are round 2.
Here's the problem. You always finish the mashed potatoes and the stuffing first, and the green bean casserole. But then you have a lot of turkey, and you probably have gravy and cranberry sauce left over. So you always have to make round 2.
You know what? That's cool. My mom cooks everything, so she can make as many rounds as she wants or not. So, special KL. No, the appeal did not come back already. Clayton's side has yet to file their what do you call it? Response. Yeah. Sorry, I have ill brain right now.
That's why I'm here.
No, we're just basically like talking about why, like if she were to win the appeal, why that doesn't really mean what she and her attorney might think it means, because ultimately, like, she brought the public into this, and for a variety of reasons, this has, hit close to home for a lot of us. And if she wants that to stop, then she's going to have to, kind of own up to what she's done and issue an apology. Like, that's my opinion. I don't think anybody's going to just let that go. No, King Salmon, it's not over. It's not over. It's barely started.
Maybe you should write something and pin it. Like, this is just commentary. The appeal is not done.
Yeah.
And that way people will see the pin.
Good call, man.
Because I feel like every 5 minutes somebody's going to ask that.
Yeah, I went and I changed the title, but it didn't help much. I said I changed it from can't to wouldn't, but then I was like, that's not enough, is it? Hey, Steph. How's it going? Teresa, Reg Angel, Justice for Clayton, any other mods in the chat I forgot. Thank you for being here. Bruce, you're obviously here. So
we exist.
All right. I'll pin that. Cool. All right. So everybody, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Thank you for all the well wishes. I'm so bad at answering my notifications these days. And especially because I've been kind of just like laying around a lot the last couple days. But did you do Dave's cranberry sauce recipe? Or no?
No, because so I made some food of my own, but then I also got some prepared food because that's easy for one person. And it came with a tin of cranberry sauce, which was actually pretty good. Like, they do a good job in their kitchen or whatever.
Cool. Hey, Roslyn, what's up?
I think they're stuffing a little herby for my taste, but I can survive.
Herby. I don't eat stuffing usually, so I don't think I've ever. I mean, I
think you would like the stuffing that I make myself. I think you might like, because it has sausage and apples and craisins and nuts, and it has good stuff in it. It's just like, it's a meal in itself.
Right. It looks like it. I'm just like, I look at it and I'm just like, this is not for me. Okay, guys. So obviously, for obvious reasons. Oh yeah, you can have it. You can have my stuffing, Bruce. You can have my stuffing.
We haven't put on the Love suits yet. Leave the sexy talk for later.
Oh God, you're gonna make me cough. The cesspool is in my sinuses today, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So for obvious reasons, I'm not going to show any clips. I'm just going to have to explain to you where my thought process is coming from. So Laura and David recently, as you guys know, started doing some video recordings and stuff like that. There was obviously the studio recording that never came out. But in, one of these videos or another, they mentioned, like, I don't understand why people get so upset when I bring up the autism, or they say nothing ever happened with Clayton or Greg or Mike or whatever. And that's not word for word what they said. I'm unwilling to go back and watch to get an exact quote. That's how much I just I'm over them right now. But hang on.
I'm with you on that.
Cat Lady Ballerina, thank you for the 5. I am a cranberry sauce purist. It must be canned shape with ridges only in a gelatinous form that is
Yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, it's ribbed for your Thanksgiving pleasure.
Yeah. Grandma Linda, sorry to hear you've been under the weather. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for being here. Okay. So, yeah, I'm not going to go back and watch their videos. As you guys know, I'm waiting to hear back about this counter notification that Omar Serrato, the Tilted Lawyer, sent on my behalf. Because her lawyer actually copyright struck my video, which was titled something along the lines of David Gingras says he will false copyright strike me for this. So it's ridiculous. Anyways, we submitted.
Plus, his video was called like "Grab My Pussy" or something, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was.
It was just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Michelle says, "Did someone say love?" Yeah.
Never forget.
David issued a copyright strike. We sent a counter notification. He has 10 business days to provide YouTube with proof of legal action. So, probably still all of next week, all of this coming week. I'm not positive though. Because I really haven't done the math.
And so YouTube didn't look at it or do anything, or
they
YouTube
don't.
It doesn't get settled within YouTube first?
No, it doesn't. It seems like they don't do that. So, if the YouTube complies with the takedown request, then you have to either, just accept it, or you can submit the counter notification. If you submit the counter notification, you're starting a legal process. At which point, he would now, have to follow his word and sue me. I think that would be a very stupid thing to do. But if he hates, people that much and he wants to sue everyone who hurts his feelings, fine. I mean, I personally I wasn't nice to the guy in the sense that I'm not singing his praises, but I wasn't doing anything to hurt him. I obviously referred people to his channel. I showed it from the original source as much as I could. I didn't, I said I didn't want to show things about when he was talking about his cat because that's his story to tell, that kind of thing. So I think it's a little just kind of overblown, but we'll see. I'm still waiting to see what happens with that. But
yeah, that's weird because I had a video once where I was live streaming from my fire pit and I was making music and I used this particular sample or this drum beat that's in this music software. And YouTube was like, hey, you were playing some dude's song off on this other video. And that other song used that same drum loop or sample in the breakdown of their song. So, of course, the YouTube robots thought I was just playing their song.
Yeah.
And so all I had to do was respond within YouTube or something and say hey, look, this is software. You can see me using the software. It's a preset. It's royalty free because I bought the software. So they can't copyright me. And then they were like, oh, okay.
That sounds way easier.
And YouTube just resolved all of it. It was fine.
Yeah. God, I would prefer that.
I don't know.
The thing is, so, Cat Lady Ballerina, thank you for the $2. How many business days does he have left? 5 or 6, I believe. At least 6, I think. 6. We'll say 6. Because of the holiday, things are weird.
What is time?
Business days or whatever. Yeah, what is time? Do we exist? I don't know. You tell me. Okay. So, anyways, I could have let that go, and I could have done this thing called copyright school or something, and where YouTube will wipe the slate clean of the strike. You can do that one time or something, I think. And you have to do it within a certain number of days. So it was my choice was either I could let it go and just have the strike remove payment channel, or I could, move forward with the counter notification and
Mhm.
fight it. And ultimately, I'm sick and tired of seeing these people get away with this, like using the system to abuse people or threaten people, or like
Mm.
using their positions of power or privilege to hurt other people and get what they want, or like punish
Mhm.
people for not doing what they say or what they want them to do. Like, I'm tired of it. I'm so sick of it that I was like, no, I'm gonna push forward with this. So if he wants to, if he wants to keep the strike, that's fine, but he's gonna have to fight it out in court with me. So, and that's what, I fully expect him to do, because that's what he said he would. So anyways, on that
Crazy.
subject, of like people abusing the systems, that's why I wanted to do this stream tonight. And I want that kind of ties into, David Gingras and Laura Owens' whole JFC cult thing, which I know that you have, been outspoken about. Like, this is not a cult. This is what a cult is, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So,
And the crazy thing to me was when he actually went through and, I think he said like, "Hey, if you follow the case, I don't think you're in a cult. If you believe Clayton, I don't think you're in a cult. If you disbelieve Laura, I don't think you're in a cult. If you
mhm,
go make a flyer and harass Laura's gym,
right,
that's what I mean." And I'm like, "Well, that's a troll
right,
or harassment. It's not a cult." So he's using the wrong word. And even though he's described what he means by it, he's still, I don't know if he still uses the wrong word, but it's like, buddy, words have meaning for a reason. And if you use the wrong, it's
mhm.
the old thing, right? You can call your toaster an ice cream maker, but you'll never get ice cream out of it. There's a substantive reason there's no cult here.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, we all got involved or interested in this for different reasons. And so that kind of brought me back to how I got here. Um, which, as I told you guys in the beginning of the stream, I've been working in psych for a long time. Um, and I was kind of looking at this and listening to people and watching people say, like, this person's, ill, it's icky to like talk about this, or, like, he needs to stop, like, she's clearly like needs mental health help and all that. I'm like, I just kind of popped in one day and I was just like, I'm not disagreeing that she needs help. I'm just saying it's not what you guys think it is. Like, people are able to get away with stuff like this by exploiting sensitive topics, like, like unaliving, or um abortion and stuff like that. People are able to exploit these topics to get away with stuff because we are sensitive to those things, and nobody wants to see anyone get hurt when they're in those situations. So you don't want to really criticize somebody who's been through that. The thing is, like, somebody who has not been through that is now using it to kind of skirt responsibility for what they've done. So I kind of popped into the scene here and was like, listen, like, she's not, mentally incompetent. Like, this person is not criminally insane. They're just criminal. So I wanted to kind of give you guys a little more insight into why it bothered me so much and why I ended up speaking out. Not only because Dave was getting kind of like harped on, I felt like, on Reddit and some subreddits, um, but because this is a huge part of my job and what bothers me at work, and what ultimately led to me like stepping away from working full time in the ER and now, working at home, is because this is happening all the time and nobody can really do anything about it, and it bothers me so much. So let me see. I have an article here, and this is an opinion from a doctor in New York. So, but I really liked a lot of what he said, so we're gonna read. It's not too long, um, but it's just gonna kind of give you guys an idea of what I've been dealing with and what I feel when I'm at work and stuff like that. It's opinion: at psychiatric emergency rooms, fake patients take a heavy toll. The act of feigning illness for personal gain or malingering is far more widespread than the public might suspect. So I'm going to trust that Dr. Appel here is not going to sue me for copyright. I'm going to use this for commentary and the context of a public interest case. I don't think anyone's douchey enough to do that, so I think we're fine. But I do want to go through this with you guys. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can zoom in on this. This is what I'm talking about. Like, people will like feign certain illnesses or certain situations for personal gain. And like it's hard to come out and say that, because as soon as you acknowledge that, you open yourself up to a lot of criticism from, you know, people who don't really know the full context, the full story, don't really know what it's like, who are just going to be like, you're a terrible person, how dare you, you know what I mean? So wow, I will try to turn the microphone off next time I cough. My bad, guys. Hold on one sec. Okay. All right. A decade ago, while working as a psychiatry resident in the emergency room of a New York City hospital, I encountered a patient whose medical record revealed that he'd had several hundred prior admissions to psychiatric facilities across the nation. During a 30-minute evaluation, it became clear that the patient was faking an episode of psychosis in order to gain admission to the hospital. When challenged, the patient eventually confessed that he had never suffered from any mental illness. Each month, after exhausting his disability payments, he ate and slept for free on mental health wards, where psychiatrists were afraid to turn away a patient who claimed to be hearing voices and having suicidal thoughts. He was, in other words, a professional malingerer. And this is extremely common. Extremely common. And I see a lot of, you know, people commenting on like local news articles and stuff like that. Like, no, everyone's crazy now. Clearly, like we need more mental health wards and stuff like that. I'm like, no, we need to stop pandering to people who are doing this, because it happens a lot.
Yeah. Now here's my question. So it says malingering is for, you know, you're doing this for personal gain.
Right.
And then it says Munchausen syndrome is a genuine psychiatric disorder. So is that the thing, like a Munchausen patient would not be getting any gain?
So like a Munchausen syndrome patient would, like this, it's like they feel like they have to do it. They need the attention. That's how they function, kind of. But like if you're malingering, you're doing it for a certain purpose. Like you can turn it on and off at any time. That's what I feel like is the difference.
Oh,
We
I
can
see.
look into that.
So with Munchausen, you basically can't control it.
Yeah.
Or you're compelled to do it.
Right.
Whereas malingering is maybe more like fraudulent behavior.
Let's take a look at that. Hang on. People with Munchausen syndrome are motivated by psychological needs, while people who malinger, are motivated by personal gain. So yeah, right. So there's the mental health aspect of it here, where it's like you have a need to do it, and here it's like material needs, like you need a shelter, you need food or something like that. So.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. So this doctor's in New York. I'm in Florida. In Oregon, what happens like if somebody is having an episode of like a mental health crisis? Who like sees them and what happens next? Do you know, like, do they go to the ER like with the police, or what happens there?
Oh my gosh, I really don't know. I mean, I imagine it depends on the context, right? Like, I suppose if there's, you know, if there's something happening where the police are called, I think they will make a determination on what to do. Like if somebody is injured or something, I think they would call an ambulance or something like that. I don't really know. I mean, I've never, fortunately, I've never been too close to any situation like that to know exactly what would happen. But there are plenty of emergency rooms. There's plenty of, you know, what do you call it? The urgent care type walk-in things. Yeah, I think Oregon, you know, the big problem is really some of these drugs like meth or what's the other one? The fentanyl and all that everybody's overdosing on. And so some of these drugs are a big deal here.
I fully believe that we need not necessarily more mental health hospitals. I'm not saying we don't need more. Let me phrase that differently. I'm saying we need more substance abuse facilities more than we need more mental health facilities. Like, because if these people had a place to go that could tailor to their actual needs, then the psych facilities wouldn't be overrun by people who are trying to detox and stuff like that. So, but that's just what I think.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big problem out here.
Yeah.
Like Amanda is saying in chat.
Oh, is she in Oregon too?
I guess.
It's drug-induced mental health crisis here in Oregon. Oh, okay, cool. I mean, not cool that drug-induced mental health crisis. Cool that you're in Oregon. I'm sorry. That sounded bad. All right. Mispronounced name puts it this way, Munchausen's are getting an emotional benefit, malingerers are getting material benefit. That's
okay.
Yeah.
That's a good summary.
So I think like I said, like a lot of people are using psych facilities as a means of detox and stuff like that. So when you're like using, drugs and you're coming off of drugs, or if you're abusing alcohol and you're withdrawing from alcohol, like if you're in withdrawal and it's bad, you might actually feel like, oh my God, I'd rather just off myself. You know what I mean? And that's what I've just seen from other patients, but like that doesn't mean that person is truly, I'm trying not to say the trigger word for YouTube, but that doesn't mean that person is truly like wanting to off themselves. It just means like it's the pain is so bad, or like the sickness is so bad. And I've seen that in like elderly patients with a lot of health problems too. It's like they say like, oh, I'd rather just off myself, but like they don't really want to die. They just want the pain to stop. Like they just want treatment for what's happening inside their body. Versus a person who truly like genuinely wants to die, does not want to live anymore. So but that's different, different than malingering, because obviously that's something that the person can't help. They're just like, oh my gosh, how do I make this, stop? Like, this is so terrible. So yeah. Amanda says, our state has really not responded well to the drug crisis. I don't know that any state has, man. I don't know. Anyways, back to Dr. Appel here. Let's see. Malingering, the act of faking illness for personal gain, is far more widespread than the public might suspect. It is different from Munchausen syndrome, in which the tendency to feign illness is caused by genuine psychiatric disorder. In my decade of experience at several psychiatric emergency rooms around New York City, I've rarely worked a 12-hour shift without confronting at least one, and often several patients seeking hospitalization under false pretenses. A recent study that a colleague and I published in Psychiatric Services found that 1 in every 5 patients evaluated at a psychiatric emergency room in Lower Manhattan over the course of a month was strongly suspected to be malingering. Man, 1 in 5 is honestly, like, as somebody who works in an emergency room in like I'm in downtown where I live. I work downtown, and like it's a pretty bad area for drug abuse and poverty and stuff like that. So like I would say, if I had to guess, and this is total conjecture, like I would say more than 1 out of 5 for sure. So
wow.
The motivations of malingerers vary considerably. 3 years ago, I published a rudimentary nosology in the newsletter of the American Academy of Psychiatry and the Law. Well, sir, that is good for you. I've never even heard of that journal.
Doing the science.
God damn. That categorized malingerers into 3 types. The first type simply seeks 3 hots and a cot. So kind of like, people say like when they go to jail, at least they get 3 hots and a cot.
Right.
So yeah. It's kind of like that, but they don't want to, go to jail, obviously. So that the easiest way to get through a weekend, like a long holiday weekend or something, might be to go to the hospital and find a way to get a bed there. 3 warm meals and a place to sleep, in hopes of avoiding homeless shelters and food pantries. These men and women, some of whom do suffer from underlying psychiatric illness, reflect social service failures on the part of society. A second type of malingerer arrives at emergency rooms in search of prescriptions for opiates or benzodiazepines. That happens a lot too.
Yeah, I remember I had a cat when I lived in a different town here, and he had a lot of issues. So I was at the vet a lot, and like kids or young people would come in and they'd be like, "Hey, can I get this, that, or the other thing?" So they would be like basically soliciting veterinarians for things that are basically like animal medicine, but they were going to use it themselves or something like that, or sell it or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've seen that happen.
I had a patient once who worked in the vet's office, and she was caught. She got hooked on propofol. You know what that is? I'm assuming.
I think so.
It's kind of like anesthesia they would give you before surgery. So she was using IV propofol at work. So like it's like when you get hooked on stuff like that, it's bad. Like she's lucky she didn't die. And this was years ago, and I believe she is, like I obviously haven't spoken to her in several years now, but she, got a chance to kind of move on with her life. She wouldn't get that job back, but luckily she was able to, live at least because she was young, and she, has a second chance to do something better. But
I think the craziest thing I've ever had is like Vicodin, and it just made me want to go get Taco Bell.
oh man, whenever I hear Vicodin, I think of House. I can't help it. I need to
Yeah,
rewatch that series, man.
I guess that's a little inaccurate because I guess you can't take Vicodin like all the time. Like it doesn't work that way.
hmm
Nobody would subscribe you Vicodin for a chronic leg thing that would last years or whatever. I guess. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. I had
But it was a good
after
show.
yeah, I need to rewatch it now that I'm older because A, because I don't remember a lot of it, and B, because I'll probably understand a lot more of it.
I mean, the
Um,
lesson we can learn from House. So House is an asshole, and he gets away with being an asshole because he's right all the time,
mhm,
or at least by the end of the episode. Now, the problem is real life doesn't work that way. So, don't be a jerk unless you can guarantee you can be right all the time. And you can't guarantee you can be right all the time. So just don't
mhm,
be a jerk. And some of us, internet lawyers included, could learn this lesson.
mhm, yeah. Um, Cat Lady Ballerina, Vicodin makes me manic. I once had a need to clean behind the fridge while on Vicodin after a minor surgery. Whoa.
Oh my.
Dude, I had a oxycodone one time after a surgery, and
Oh
it made
geez.
me so irritated. I
Hmm.
remember, like, my mom was just trying to help me, like, and it was like a simple thing. Like, I was trying to plug in a phone charger, and I wasn't supposed to bend that way. And so she
Uh-oh.
was like, "Honey, you're not supposed to do that." And I was like, "I can do it!" Which is like freaking out. And then later being like, "What was that?"
Go into
Like,
full rage mode.
yeah, dude, really, really. And like every time I had to take it, I was so irritable. It was weird.
Mm.
So like I can't imagine how somebody would, take that all the time, but okay. Where were we at? We did that. We did that. Okay. While some of these patients may plan to resell their medications, the vast majority do suffer from a severe illness or addiction, though they may exaggerate the extent of their pain and anxiety. So, guys, I'm gonna, we'll get to how this ties back into the Laura Owens case and the, why I think the appeal doesn't matter and all that stuff. But this is
Hmm.
important context. Um, the first two species of malingerers can be thought of as soft malingerers. They have genuine and legitimate needs that should not be dismissed merely because they present to hospitals on false pretenses. At the same time, it makes little sense to offer a woman a $750 clinical workup when all she wants is a $5 sandwich, or to house a man on a thousands per night psychiatric ward when he could stay at a luxury hotel for far less. Simply having a hospital operate its own safe, clean, and easily accessible homeless shelter adjacent to the psychiatric ER could conserve vast resources.
Hmm.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
not a bad idea, in my opinion. But
Hmm.
a third type of malingerer is rarer, yet far more pernicious. I think that's how you say that word. I'm not positive.
Pernicious.
Pernicious. Okay. These individuals can be thought of as hard malingerers, and they seek ends that are nefarious to various degrees. Avoiding a court date, which is what everybody thought was going to happen there.
Hmm.
Convincing a judge to suspend child support payments, hiding from a loan shark or a drug dealer, and so forth. I once encountered a patient in an ER who appeared to be seeking an alibi for his extramarital affair. One diagnostic clue for pernicious, you said pernicious? Pernicious.
Pernicious.
Pernicious, okay. Malingering is that the patient wishes neither to be admitted to the hospital nor discharged from the emergency room, but expresses a desire to stay for a precisely enumerated period of time. Now,
Ooh.
where does your mind go when you read that? Is there some? Does that ring a bell? Or if not, I can tell you right now. But
Well, yeah. I mean, I think when we were reviewing the Laura and Mike text messages,
yep,
right?
that's where I'm going. Yep.
There were specific things going on. People
hmm
were in specific places,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden,
hmm
she claimed she checked herself in for mental health or whatever, and
Right.
there was a lot of conversation about like leaving or staying or having to stay a certain amount of time and all this. So,
Yeah.
you know,
So
if
we
she's
came
talking to
to
Mike with one story, she has to keep that story going on the other side as well, which is what this guy is talking about.
So we came to realize that she was telling Mike that she was being admitted for her because she was, like, so her psych problems were so bad. I'm trying not to use the YouTube trigger words tonight,
Hmm.
but she was telling Mike that. But then we come to find out that she actually, was not admitted, and then she didn't want. This is what this guy's describing. Doesn't wish to be admitted to the hospital. Doesn't want to be discharged from the emergency room. Like that's serving a purpose for her.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. She's like using it as in my opinion, she's using it as a means to manipulate Mike. And that's why I really, liked this article. I think it hits
Hmm.
on a lot of points about malingering that I see a lot.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
part of me wonders, if it's not even, because when they say, okay, malingering people are trying to get a very specific benefit,
Mhm.
I feel like in the Clayton case, the benefit might be sort of subconscious or not 100% like, somebody twirling their handlebar mustache saying, "Ooh, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and it's a perfect plan." And
Yeah.
I'm going to Ocean's 11 this thing. I
Oh
feel like
man.
it's more like, you know, uh, seat of your pants kind of almost, what can I
Mhm.
do? I'll do this. Next, I'll do that. Next, I'll react this way. So it's
Right.
more reactive than planned.
Yeah. Right. Um, let's see. Because the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act of 1986 requires every patient who presents to an ER to receive a meaningful evaluation, and because police are generally reluctant to remove from a hospital any patient who threatens harm to himself or others, no matter how implausibly, hard malingerers often achieve their goals. Limited data suggests that in outpatient settings, malingering for the purpose of obtaining disability benefits could be more widespread than most stakeholders realize. I'm going to skip this part, guys, because I'm not really, that doesn't really pertain to this so much. The fact that malingering remains so common is evidence of its efficacy. I always hate that word, efficacy. Few psychiatrists are willing to risk the liability of turning away a patient who professes to be in distress.
Yeah.
Given the choice to label a patient as a malingerer or diagnose her with a vague catch-all illness like adjustment disorder not otherwise specified, a reasonable psychiatrist will often choose the latter. It provides more legal cover. So we're getting to the point here where you can kind of see like
Yeah.
how somebody might get a diagnosis by going to the ER and saying whatever they want to say
Yeah.
because the doctor has to cover their ass.
Because there's no, you can't do a blood test to determine somebody is
Right.
malingering.
Mm.
So even if you have good intuition or suspicions, you can't prove it exhaustively with science, right? It's very
Right.
hard,
Hmm.
especially in the moment.
Yeah.
So I can imagine this would be very hard for healthcare providers.
Dude, I've had people who will like they get admitted and then so they're admitted, that's it. There's like they're not going home. And then after that they will tell me, "Yeah, I just said that cuz I wanted to hang out and watch TV for a weekend."
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
This one guy would come and do that so many times. It was like twice a week and then he would go to a different facility, the other days that he wasn't with us. And I was like, "At
Mhm.
what point? Like when can we put our foot down and say no, this is not like you have to figure out your life. Like you can't keep using this as a like a
Mhm.
shelter, you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
Zach, thank you for the two. Ralphie, did Rosalind get you drunk? No, I'm too sick to get drunk right now. But maybe some other time. Oh man. All right. See. Um Financial incentives also come into play. Many insurers will not reimburse hospitals for time spent evaluating or treating patients who are ultimately labeled as malingerers. And in any case, a skilled malingerer who is ejected from one emergency room will simply travel to another. That happens a lot. In
Mm.
search of the weakest link in the chain.
Mhm.
Um, so this here is the point that really, I felt like hit like my thoughts of like why this is so important to Laura's case and why I got involved with like talking about Laura's case and stuff like that. Malingering is not a victimless crime.
Mm-hmm.
So every hospital bed squandered on a healthy patient is one fewer that's available for someone who's tormented by voices of schizophrenia or who's in the throes of severe depression. As a result, truly ill patients sometimes have to wait hours in emergency rooms or, when hospitals are at full capacity, travel elsewhere for inpatient care. Because Medicaid picks up the tab for some of the treatment received by malingerers, taxpayers are indirect victims of this fraud.
Mm-hmm.
So like somebody goes, say, even into the ER, right, where there's a limited number of beds, or like gets put on a psych ward where there's a limited number of beds. There's somebody out there who's like in the worst agony of their life who has to like sit there in the ED in front of everyone else with no privacy, like and you know, like they're already struggling. They have no privacy because psych patients have to be under constant watch and there's not enough staff to have them in private rooms. So they're like all in this one area of the ED, but they're like all, you know, crammed into one space. And I can't speak for every ER, obviously, but that's how ours is. And so like somebody is sitting there in agony for, and it sometimes does happen for days at a time. Days. Like I've seen people sit on through a whole weekend, a Saturday and Sunday, because no beds were available in the psych ward because people came in on Friday and they were like saying whatever they could just to get a spot. And like those people will often admit to it later, like I said before with the other guy, but like it's just crazy. So like if somebody is going into an ER and saying, you know, they are, you know, pregnant and they know they're not, or if they're saying like they're, you know, gonna off themselves and they know they're, you know, not, then I don't care if it's like an extra 5 minutes. That is hurting someone who needs those resources more than you. So it is, like this man says, not a victimless crime. So when I look at this and I put this all into context, like winning an appeal is not going to help Laura in the sense that we all see what she's done and we all know that she's hurt many people like collaterally because like I said, like somebody needed those resources and she took them. So like winning an appeal is not going to change that. She's not appealing to the public, but she brought the public into this. So if you want to change your circumstances, you're going to have to do more than win an appeal in court based on, you know, like technicalities and shit like that. It's about, you know, like making it right with the people that you dragged into this, which is the general public at this point, because she did go to all the websites, you know, tabloids or whatever, and she did go to Reddit, and she opened that up and said basically like to attack Clayton, you know what I mean? So like when that turned around on her, now she's like, you guys are a cult, you're crazy. I'm like, no, dude. No, you brought this up, and people from all walks of life have kind of, you know, like been bothered by certain aspects of it. This was mine. And that's how I got involved. It's not a cult. You know, I'm just a random person who's sick of seeing this shit.
Yeah.
So, and this is just the healthcare system, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about the courts and stuff like that too, but not too much because I'm like, my voice is going to go away at some point. Okay. In recent years, increasing public awareness has led to a recognition that people faking physical illness to gain disability payments are engaged in criminal behavior. If we are serious about reducing healthcare costs and improving psychiatric care, we must find a way to separate the soft malingerers from the hard malingerers. We need to explore innovative ways to assist the former and equally innovative ways to thwart the latter. One step might be to create a central registry where mental health providers could report overt, nefarious malingering. Chronic offenders might even face the possibility of prosecution. Needless to say, physicians should give patients every benefit of the doubt, yet the intentions of many malingerers are crystal clear. Years ago, when I asked an incoming patient why he had come to the hospital, he paraphrased for me, nearly verbatim, the admissions criteria for the New York State mental hygiene law. And then, to back up his case, he rummaged in his sack of legal papers and produced a photocopy of the pertinent portion of the statute.
Oh boy.
Psychiatrists have been looking the other way for too long. With increasingly fewer resources available for our patients' needs, we can no longer tolerate imposters who are, in essence, stealing care from the mentally ill.
That last example kind of reminded me of all these, we've gone through all these old emails, right?
Mm-hmm.
From Laura, whether it's to Mike or Greg or Clayton or Dave, with
Yep.
these things with these block paragraphs about this is illegal under this law and this, there's all this like pseudo legalese.
Mm-hmm.
And it really reminds me of that.
Yep.
For that part there.
1 second. But yeah, people like, and in this case, the guy's talking about other psychiatrists. People like look the other way at these types of things because it would be harder to address it. It would be harder to bring it up or like raise the issue, or like it'd be harder to, I don't know, like get into an argument with someone about, like a higher up or something about how to treat the patient or what to do. It's like people, and I understand it for sure, people don't want to exhaust themselves over something they ultimately don't think they can change. So, and that's how people get away with stuff like this. It's unfortunate, but like nobody who really wants to spend their time fighting something like that, because at one point it's like, this is such a small thing, I could just let it go, not be stressed, and just move on with my day. But then it happens 1,000 times. So what now? And I feel the same way about like when they put autistic patients on psych wards and stuff like that. I'm like, too many people in administration, they're like, we don't want to get into a pissing match with this or that agency like DCF or something like that. I'm like, no, you need to. And if you won't, then you don't deserve to be in your position. You don't deserve, that job, because those patients are depending on you to stick up for them and say, no, this is the statute. This does not, this patient does not belong in a psych unit where they could be harmed, where they won't understand what's going on. Like, it's not going to help them. And I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but like, that's just, it bothers me a lot. So like the malingering thing is what brought me to this case also.
Yeah, it sounds like there just aren't enough options for healthcare providers to, it's sort of like, well, I can do A or I can do B, and B is really complicated or it's fraught with risk. So I'll just do A. Because there's no C, D, or E options that are better. So that seems like a big problem.
Cat Lady Ballerina, thank you for the 5. And she puts this like in a way better way than I did, because it's like short and to the point, and I just kind of went through that whole thing. But every time Laura made and canceled appointments at a high-risk OB was an appointment that possibly a person with a high-risk pregnancy couldn't get and had to wait longer.
Yeah, it could be.
Hey, Julia, what's up? So yeah, that's how I got here. And then Bruce, I know you have been, kind of following Dave and a friend of Dave and helping him out for how long now? I don't know. Since before this, right?
Oh yeah, I've been hanging out with Dave since way before this case. So
yeah. So you guys have been friends for a long time. So you obviously didn't come into this because there was a cult meeting or something like that. But
no.
Amanda M says, man, this is 10 years old and I don't think we have made any moves to make healthcare less affordable. Dude, that's crazy. We still have a lot of the same problems we had a decade ago because of what I just said. Like, people don't want to fight this shit because it's exhausting, and because honestly, upper administration and the people who have the power to do something about it, they're not going to take your side because they're going to get paid the same no matter what. They're not going to get paid more just because they advocate for their patients. And I hate to sound cynical, but that's how I feel. Like, that's how I view most healthcare systems at this point, because I'm like, people like who like could do something about something, and anytime I have brought something to someone's attention and I'm like, we could do something about this and we should do something about this, you get shot down. So like, because why would they want to do that if they don't have to? And you would think maybe it's because you care about the patients, but unfortunately, by the time you get to that position, you're so jaded a lot of the time that it just doesn't matter. So,
yeah, you're just trying to do precisely what it is you're paid for, nothing more, or you have a very
Mhm.
specific view of cost versus or risk versus benefit analysis
Right.
that precludes you from doing anything different.
Yeah.
So I kind of agree. Now let me ask you this. When it comes to like, okay, this appeal could go either way.
Mhm.
And regardless of that, like you're saying, regardless of the outcome of the appeal legally, there's still this continual issue,
Mhm.
whether you call it malingering or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
To when and I'm a layman, so I'm looking at things. And to me, from what I've seen, it seems like her justification for all of this is really that she specifically is a victim.
Mhm.
And what, you know, if that's true, what is the thing that would change that? Or how do you go about moving past that? Or do you know what I mean? Because clearly the appeal going one way or the other isn't going to change her point of view that she's been victimized by all these people, even if it's not even
Yeah.
100% true.
Let me make sure I understand the question. You're asking how do we change like what she's doing or like outside of the court or what do you mean? Sorry.
Like, I guess, if you have, like, if you're saying, like, there's this instances of malingering or whatever over time, which is what drew you to the case.
Mhm.
But the
Yeah.
underlying thing there is about the manipulation or just I'm a victim. So here's what I'm doing to put you in your place.
Mhm.
What is the solution to that?
Send her to jail so she'll stop doing it. That's literally the only thing cuz like you send this person to a psych ward, not going to do shit. It's not because this person
Yeah.
does not want to change. They've been
Yeah.
presented with every reason under the sun why this is wrong and they won't stop because they don't have to because nobody's making them stop. You have to
Yeah.
make them stop. You have to send them to jail. That's what
Mm.
has to happen.
Oh my.
That's my opinion. So, and is that going to happen? Probably not, in my
I mean,
opinion.
yeah,
But
it takes the point where you commit a crime serious enough for law enforcement, prosecution,
right,
whoever to do something about it. And if those crimes never occur, then people can just do what they want.
yeah,
Uh,
it's
Scary.
I mean, it's got to be frustrating being someone, especially that this happened to like early on, and watching this like still go on now, and like get to this scale, and just be like, wow, I can't believe nobody ever did anything about this. Like, that's gotta suck. I was just thinking about that. Ziani, so when does her malingering change to medical fraud? I think when she starts stealing ultrasounds and submitting them to the court as if they are hers. Yeah, I mean that to me that seems like medical fraud. I don't know. Did she actually use that in any of the fake ultrasound? The one she stole from the lady with the vanishing twin?
Um, I mean, I think at least in the paternity case, the only
Hmm.
thing that showed up was the ghost ultrasound.
Okay. Yeah.
And we don't know at least as far as I know, nobody knows where that came from. So that's hard to prove fraud.
Right.
Now, the order of protection one had the sister ultrasound,
Hmm.
which her own lawyer says that's her sister's
Right.
ultrasound,
Right.
and that's in an order of protection court hearing. So to
Yeah.
me, that's a much more clear case.
Hmm.
I don't know if the Greg Gillespie one,
Hmm.
um, what did we call that? The Fiverr logo one.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if that ever made it into a court filing or not. It may not have.
Yeah. I
Um,
haven't looked at Greg's like all the filings in Greg's case
and
like
I don't
very
think the
closely.
Reality
So.
Steve one did either. The Reality Steve was the video, and Dave did the side by side.
Mhm. So the thing is, the court may not be able to do anything about this, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Like nobody's gonna forget that that happened. So the problem with just like winning the appeal is like it does not take that away. It does not take away that this person needs to be held accountable for what she did, and nobody's going to just like let that go away quietly. It doesn't seem like like because nobody wants to see her like get away. Like first of all, not pay Clayton any legal fees for what she caused, and second, like not apologize or like admit to what she's done and like change her kind of habits, her life, I guess. So it's just I think the appeal, like I know that David thinks they're gonna win and all that, but my point here is
I mean,
even
he's
if
made a
they
lot of
win.
predictions that never came true. So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if I'd put my money on his predictions.
Man, I'm trying not to think about the guy anymore, honestly. He's been a yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, he's been a dick to me, so and to you, old white man.
I'm old
What
and
was
white.
that? What was that about? Like, what was that about? Where did that come from?
Oh, it's so when I make a video, I'm usually like, this might be my first video, might be the last video. It's
Yeah,
episode 0 or whatever.
yeah,
And
yeah,
in his first video, he said something like, "I'm making a video. Maybe I'll make more. Maybe I won't make it." He said something vaguely similar. Like he didn't say it word for word, which I think he was just riffing, right? Which is fine. There's
mhm,
nothing wrong with it. But somebody was
sure.
like, "Your intro sounded like Bruce's intro," and he's like, "I don't know who Bruce is. Maybe old white guys all
Yeah.
talk alike." And I'm like, "How'd you know I'm old and white? Thanks, sir."
That's so random, dude.
But I mean, compared to the stuff he said about Dave Neal with no evidence to back it up, I
Yeah.
mean, sir, we need video URLs, timestamps, what Dave said, and then your proof that it's a lie, which means you need to demonstrate that Dave knew it was false before he said it.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it could just be talking past each other, a misunderstanding, or
Yeah.
some other thing, or an opinion.
Mhm.
So when you're saying Dave lies all the time, you need to back it up with evidence, sir. And he said horrible things about Dave without backing it up with evidence. You're not going to
Yeah.
convince me that Dave is a terrible person without
Yeah.
showing me the evidence, sir. You
That
know,
was way over the line, man. That was
yeah,
way over the line. I was in Australia when that happened, and I remember how like you got so angry. I was like, "Please just keep going. I'm so tired." Oh man, that was ridiculous though. I don't
yeah.
I really didn't think that anyone would take it that far. But like, I'm wondering like, are you really this bad of a person, or are you putting on a show for your client here? Like, is there any good to
I
you?
think
Like,
he's doing the house thing. He's being a jerk
yeah,
because he thinks he's right.
hmm
And he thinks that you can be a jerk if you're and that's justified if you're always right. The problem is nobody is always right. Like that's not how humans work in the real world outside of a TV show.
yeah. Hold on. People wanted me to post a link to that article in the description. Let me make sure I pull it up. Okay, I will. I'll do it after this. I'll edit the video. Cat Lady Ballerina, thank you for the 5. Random and unrelated but fun. My dogs and I are all wearing our reindeer onesies. I'll put up the Christmas. Well, we put up the outside Christmas lights tomorrow. Oh, that's cute. You should send me a picture. I want to see that. I won't show Bruce. I promise.
Wait, what?
Nothing. They're doing her dogs and her are wearing their reindeer onesies while I put up the
Mhm.
lights tomorrow. So I said send me a picture. I won't show it to Bruce.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
I want to see you in a onesie though, a love onesie.
I have a onesie. It's not a love love.
We can go to Craft World and fix that or something.
Maybe on like Christmas Eve or something, I'll like wear a onesie on stream. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I'll probably because my family like we did Thanksgiving early in the day too. So I was like, that's why I wanted to do a stream on Thanksgiving night. But
Mhm.
then I was like in a food coma, and also something is
Me
off
too.
here. I wake up the next day and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm dying. You know what I mean? Obviously not dying, but yeah. So I would like to do something on Christmas. I wasn't able to do that with the Thanksgiving stuff. So maybe on Christmas Day, because we do everything in the morning. We do like the dinner and all that happens on Christmas Eve night, and then so maybe I'll be around on the night of Christmas
Oh
to
my.
do a stream or something. We'll see. Um, because I know lots of people like they don't have anywhere to go, or like they don't have their family's not around anymore, or they're estranged or stuff like that. So I'm kind of like I want to like be able to talk to people and make sure they're having a right day too. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, I couldn't do that the other day because I was incapacitated.
Yeah. What I've
So
noticed, yeah, and what I've noticed is once you watch the Hallmark Channel long enough, the movie you see the same movie. Like a few days
yeah,
later, you'll see the same movie again,
hmm
and you'll
yeah,
be like, "Okay, I just saw this 3 days ago."
yeah.
But
Do you watch? Do you have a favorite Christmas movie?
a favorite Christmas movie? You mean like a traditional one, or do you mean from the Hallmark Channel specifically?
Any
That's a whole
any movie?
genre.
Any movie?
Christmas Vacation is a classic. The Chevy Chase. I usually Like, I can't watch it too much because it's like a lot because it's so slapstick. But like every other year, I think I always watch it
Gotcha. I
uh,
have not actually seen that, so maybe I should.
with Chevy Chase.
No, I haven't
Oh
seen it.
my God, it is such a classic. You have to
Yeah.
watch it. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's got
Well, I'll
so
check it
many
out.
classic. Like, you know, I think one time I went off and was ranting about Gingras and called him a yellow-bellied, sap-sucking, mule-kicking, or whatever it was. That's a riff from Christmas Vacation. I just ripped that off.
I would have had no idea.
Yeah.
Um, sorry, I don't know how we got off topic. I think it was the super chat about the onesie.
Maybe.
Yeah, guys. But anyways, so what I wanted to talk about tonight was A, the malingering thing, and then B, also she's abusing the public systems that are law enforcement and the courts and stuff like that. So like using the courts as a way to exact your own personal punishment on someone who you feel has wronged you, like that's inappropriate. And people shouldn't be able to do that just because they have money, just because they have privilege. Like it's too easy for people to get away with that. Like it's way too easy for somebody to be able to threaten someone with a lawsuit or file for a lawsuit and like put somebody into crippling debt. Like and then it's just over because they can't do anything else. They can't keep fighting because they don't have anything left. Like they don't have any money. They don't have anything. Like so it sucks. And then also like having the police, come to her house. Like David thinks that people called the police and sent them to her house for entertainment because Laura told him that. But like nobody wants like somebody to be left without police assistance who needs it just
Mhm.
because they're going to Laura's house. Nobody wants that. I don't know anybody who wants that. So like the one that comes to mind is the like FBI one, obviously. Like the FBI, see the fact that she's wasting FBI resources is bad enough. But the
Yeah.
FBI having to send the police there and instead of like the FBI and the police should both be tending to something else. Like I don't want to see that. Not for
Mhm.
content, not for anything. I don't want to see that, but it happened because your client's a nutbag.
Yeah. And I don't think anybody was laughing at the wellness checks themselves. I think
No.
in one of those videos, people were fairly critical of the police department because
Yeah.
they failed to put eyes on the subject.
Yeah. No, I was
They
pretty
just
pissed at
took
that
her
one.
mom's name word for it,
Mhm.
which I think is concerning. It's not really funny.
For
If
sure.
anything was funny, there's a part where a dog might have peed in the hall, or the mom is giving out chocolate bars. And of course, these cops can't just take food from people and eat it.
No.
So, I mean, is that funny? I mean, that's funny in sort of a dark humor kind of way, but like
Yeah,
nobody's
yeah.
let nobody that's just things are happening
Mhm.
that are unrelated to the wellness call. Nobody's laughing at
Yeah.
a wellness call.
No, I mean, I definitely laughed at, like the dog peeing in the background and shit
Mhm.
like that. And like, I laughed at some
Yeah.
things for being so ridiculous, or like the fact that it backfired, that she tried to sic the FBI on some unsuspecting person who probably did nothing but express an opinion, and the fact
Mhm.
that it blew back on her. I might have laughed at that, honestly. Like
It's
I might have laughed
ironic.
at that. I'm not
Yeah.
laughing because like somebody's bullying her with police wellness calls or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not the thing. So like again, that's a misrepresentation of what's going
Mhm.
on, and David and Laura continue to push these misrepresentations, which is why they're never going to get anywhere with the
Yeah.
public.
And here's the thing, it just like the flyer at the gym, if somebody makes a meme that's making, maybe somebody makes fun of her appearance in one of these wellness checks or something or some
Mhm.
other video, that's
Yeah.
just trolling.
Right.
And, I don't condone that. And if
Mhm.
somebody does that, I can't stop them because there's nobody reports to me. There's no cult. Like
Yeah.
I'm not a lieutenant in the Dave Neal army. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I can't stop people from doing trolling.
Mhm.
So if somebody trolled, that's an individual. It's not a group.
Right. BS, thank you for the 2. We appreciate you. Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, happy Thanksgiving to you too. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. So I am also thinking like as the guy who published on his blog his clients, unaliving thoughts
Mhm,
or like things relating to unaliving thoughts.
mhm,
How are you actually complaining that people care enough to call in a wellness check? Like if you say like people want Laura, dead, they want to see her, like the end of her and stuff like that. But people who strongly disagree with her, and assuming what they're saying is true, that like a person who is like a Justice for Clayton person had called wellness check, assuming that's true, which I don't think that it was, then like, why are you mad that people care? You're saying like they want me dead and stuff like that, but clearly someone's trying to prevent your death. They're trying to prevent you from getting hurt. So why is this the thing you're choosing to bitch about? Like that's another thing that I'm saying. Like, even if you win an appeal, it doesn't mean you didn't lie. It doesn't mean you didn't insult and misrepresent people's intentions. It doesn't mean that you were ever pregnant. It doesn't mean that you didn't waste police resources, and you didn't waste police resources and FBI resources, and like some of those resources across the country in Florida. Like, you terrorized Liz Neptune during the holidays, and then the lawyers like complaining because a wellness check was called on Laura during the holidays. Well, guess what? Laura actually said something along the lines of suicidality. Like, you cannot do that and then be like, oh my God, they called a wellness check on me, they're a cult. You know what I mean? Like, because that's obviously like, if there's a reason to call that wellness check and it's called in good faith, then it does not fucking matter who called it. It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, if you post that stuff to the internet or medium.com or what, the private blog, not the private, but the public personal website blog,
yeah,
anybody can read it.
Yep.
And guess what? People out there will have different ideas about what to do with the information you just posted. Some of them will do nothing. Some of them might try to troll you. Some of them might get concerned and call a wellness check. I mean, this is what happens when you post that stuff on the internet.
Well, random members of the public are not supposed to know what to do in those situations. So yeah, responses, like you just said, responses will vary, and it's not right to like berate the public for that. You can't be like, you just want her dead, and then also, how dare you make sure that she's living and well. Like, pick a lane, bro. AKA the cat lady. I told Runkle about the copyright thing this week, Wednesday night, I believe. And he said to email him when you have any info. He's very interested. Okay. I have not gotten an update yet. So I'm just waiting at this point to see what he does next. So he has, probably 6 or so more business days to provide like proof of legal action to YouTube. But the thing is, like, even if like that timer runs out and YouTube puts the video back up, it doesn't mean he can't still file a lawsuit. It just means that YouTube puts my video back up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he's really just, and I gotta say, like, I believe that he's like just gonna let this thing drag out, and he'll figure out what he wants to do at the last second, because he thinks that I'm gonna be sitting here stressed out about it, and that's what he wants. That's what I think. I think he wants that. I think he wants to punish me like that. So, Joanna S. The doggy peeing in the hallway demonstrates the self-absorbed owners yammering at the cops and not attending to the dog despite attempts to bark at them. I mean, the dog deserved attention. I agree with that. Thank you, Elizabeth S. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here. But yeah, guys, I've never seen one person, I think, get away with so much crap and like abusing so many public systems. And like the healthcare system, the police, the courts. I mean, I feel like there's got to be more than that I'm just forgetting, you know? And like, there are so many people that have been affected by this, like not just her direct victims who have, been unfortunately, obviously faced more than I or probably anyone can imagine, like in dealing with her. But there are also the people who couldn't get an OB appointment because she took it up, or a neurology appointment if the epilepsy is not real. I don't know. There's like people who needed the police that day, I'm sure. There are people who needed an ER bed when she was taking it up. There are people who, were worried for their sons, or people who were worried for their brothers or their friends, like people were affected by this that are more than just the couple that she's pointing the finger at. So like what she's doing, it hurts the general public when she uses this kind of scam and like to take up hospital resources and stuff like that. Like, I'm not okay with that. So yeah, she might win an appeal. There's a chance she could win an appeal, but that doesn't do shit to make up for that. Like, you gotta own it. and apologize and do better. Like, otherwise, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if she wins. It doesn't mean anything. And people are going to continue to scrutinize that because she's going to continue to behave the way that she does. So it's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I really don't think there's any owning up to anything if she continues to maintain this victim mentality, because with that victim mentality, all of her actions are justified, right? Internally.
Mhm.
So it's internally logically consistent, even though it's not
Yeah.
externally consistent from a layman's point of view, looking at it from the outside.
Yeah. And when you say like victim mentality, that brings up something as well that I've been thinking about a lot lately. It's like, when I say she's not delusional, I mean she doesn't believe the things that she's saying. She knows that they didn't happen, but she believes she was wronged in some way. So she
Yeah,
justifies it like that. And hey,
exactly.
Brad,
Yeah.
how's it going? Thanks for popping in, Brad. But yeah, so that's kind of how I feel about, the victim mentality thing. It's like, yes, you feel slighted, you feel wronged in some way, so you're going to blow it up into something else, and you know what you're doing. It's intentional. So yeah. All right, guys, I have to stop talking now, or I'm going to lose my voice. So um Amanda M says, is being wronged how Dingus also justifies it. I don't fucking know, man. The guy's he's two different people, you know? He's two different people, and I don't know which one is real. I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna have to say it's the abusive dick is real because he's trying to sue me, but whatever.
I mean, I think he's more, like, and I can, this is the thing. Like, when you work with people you don't like, they say, like, well, the things you don't like about your coworkers are just you just not liking things about yourself. Like, so, being needlessly argumentative or taking the devil's advocate all the time.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, this is something I do usually when I was at work talking about tech issues or something, which nobody ends up caring about at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of like how he's just sort of like looking at all these legal things and just saying like, no, no, I've got a legal argument I can make about this. I got a case I can make for this.
Hmm.
And it's just, I think that's just his personality. The part I have a problem with is more like he conflates a lot in terms of he's not very clear about what is a fact versus what is his opinion.
Hmm.
Um, so, like in one of his videos, he was like, "There's no way in hell we'll lose this appeal."
Yeah.
But then at the end, he's like, "We'll probably win, but we might lose." And I'm like, "Well, you might lose is not really the same as there's no way in hell we'll lose."
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
do you understand the difference between these two sentences, sir? Like, you need to be very clear
Yeah.
with your language. And so I think he's just got that. He wants to do the devil's advocate. He wants to make a case. He wants to make a case because he wants to see if he can. It's sort of like puzzle solving. But he just goes about it in this way, which I think goes back to, sandbox issues. He just
Yeah.
doesn't play well in the sandbox with others.
No, he doesn't. I'm staying out of the sandbox for now, dude.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I don't want to argue back and forth with the dude anymore. I'm not covering any more of his videos, really. I mean, I'll talk about him if he says something that I feel like needs to be debated. Like,
Yeah.
I will
Or
talk about it from my
yeah.
standpoint, but that's it. I'm not.
Like some information, right? Like the appeal document itself was interesting to go through.
Yeah.
But a
Yeah.
lot of his videos, it's a lot of opinion. And there's not really like, there's no structured formal argument in terms of logic, like A is true, if A is true, then we know B is true, therefore B is true. He doesn't do any logical arguments like that. So I just don't know
Yeah.
it doesn't have a lot of utility for me.
I wonder how that would go if you two were in a conversation together and you're trying to explain this is how you need to talk to me right now. Like,
Oh,
how do you
jeez.
think that would go? Oh,
Well,
man.
listening to Omar talk about his phone calls, he's like, well, the guy just talks a lot. I feel,
Yeah.
and there's a thing in debate. This is why I don't think anybody should debate him live. There's this concept called a Gish Gallop,
Yeah.
which is basically where you just like you say, what about A? What about B? What about C, D, E, and F, and G? And by the you know, and your brain is like, he just said G. And you're like, I haven't even had a chance to process whether A is sound or not yet. And we're already on G.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a disingenuous debate technique that I feel like when Omar says he talks a lot, that either means he's doing that or he's just very, not, he doesn't have a good economy of words. Like some people are these sort of rambly storytellers, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
oh, I went to the store with my aunt and we went down this aisle and I saw and cornflakes are way expensive these days. And by the way, the cashier used to go to high school with me. And then at the end, it's like, well, yeah, we crashed our car it's like cut to the chase,
Yeah.
like,
I know I've been through a lot of rambling conversations where I basically didn't say anything the entire time. And it's just like, that's what I'm thinking of right now. I don't really know if that's how it went exactly. Elizabeth S., thank you for the 20. Keep doing you. We're all behind you. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here, Elizabeth. You rock. Sunshine says he's like a walking filibuster.
maybe.
Oh man. But yeah, guys, we'll be back. I don't know if I'll be streaming tomorrow night. Honestly, it just depends on how I feel tomorrow. I'll try to, but I don't know. Bruce,
take it easy.
I don't know if you got anything coming up that you've been working on, or.
Gosh, with the holiday and everything. I mean, I'm working on stuff behind the scenes. I need to do a channel subscribers video and a channel subscriber post.
Oh yeah.
But then I'm always doing a Tuesday management video, guaranteed.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I don't know when the new Bachelor starts. So there's Grant. He's going to be the next Bachelor.
Oh.
But I don't think that starts until like January or February or something. So
okay.
I think we've got some time there.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, the other idea I was toying around with was making a video or two of some reviews of some of these Hallmark Christmas movies. Because there's a couple I thought were pretty, they're fun to talk about with the wacky.
I would watch that.
Some of them have these dumb plot twists. Also, the one I kind of want to talk about is actually a series. So there's like, and I don't know if it's 2 or 3 because I'm very confused because I just saw one and I feel like it's very confusing. So the 2 sisters from Full House?
Yeah.
The older sisters, not the twins, but the 2 sisters. So they made these Christmas movies, each one of them, and they go to like this Christmas town or whatever. And like, the guy's dad is like an analogous Santa Claus, right? And it's just a dumb romance movie. But it was funny because the one sister does the movie and then the other sister does the movie and it's the same town and the same guy. And it's basically the same plot, except she's like, oh, isn't Andy dating anybody? And they're like, well, he was dating Town Doctor, but she moved away. And it's like, oh, like they slagged on the first girl. And then I saw another one and it was like the same people in another movie, but it was like they had dated in Seattle or something. And I'm like, is this a trilogy or are they just making a movie with the same characters, but it's like in a different timeline?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like when Tony Stark goes and does Iron Man in one universe and then in another universe he does something else.
Yeah.
And it's like the girl from Full House is going full on like multiverse.
She's in the multiverse, yeah.
So I don't. Now I feel like I just did my whole video on it, but anyway.
Oh my god, yeah. All right, well, thanks guys for coming.
Hot Frosty and the Merry Gentleman. That sounds like I think I would have to review that on like.
Is that a porn?
I'd have to review that on OnlyFans or something. I think.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh dear. Oh my.
All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out. I'll maybe be here tomorrow. We'll see. I'll post on Twitter or something if I am, or on my Patreon page. I will put the link to that article in the description of the video as soon as we end here. I'll edit it. Thanks everyone. Bye. Only antlers.